For fifth episode of B Money's Horror Review. Today we're going to be looking at one of my personal favorites, American Psycho, starring Christian Bale, Willem DeFoe, and Reese Witherspoon. For those who don't know, it's based on the novel by Bret Easton Ellis, and I've read it. I'm going through it like the second time now, I believe. And this movie is probably going to be the first movie I've reviewed that's going to get a perfect score. Now, one thing I'd like to touch on is a lot of people, like, the main protagonist is Patrick Bateman. And a lot of people view him as this ultimate sign of manhood, you know, being someone like every guy should look up to, which you really shouldn't. I mean, you know, he's good looking, he's young, he's wealthy, and he gets laid a lot, but there's a lot of character flaws. Like, it's made more apparent in the book than the movie that he is a dork. So, keep that in mind when you're watching this. You shouldn't be like, oh, dude, I'm totally like Patrick Bateman, because if you are, chances are you're a fucking loser. But now that I got that out of the way, Christian Bale paints the perfect portrait for this character. I cannot imagine any actor doing a better job. And they actually had a lot of A-list celebrities that wanted the role. Leonardo DiCaprio, Edward Norton, Brad Pitt. There was another big one that wanted it. I think there was talk of Tom Cruise playing it, but I don't think any of them, as great of actors as they may be, could even touch on how well Christian Bale did in this role. And so the book takes place in the late 80s in Manhattan, and follows Patrick Bateman, a stockbroker on Wall Street, majoring in mergers and acquisitions, which he later refers to as murders and executions. One of the probably the funniest jokes in the book and movie. And he starts getting these violent urges that he's had almost all of his life, and as he explains it, his mask of sanity is slipping. And he goes on these killing sprees and does these very horrible and graphic things to people, namely prostitutes, opponents in his financial struggle, you know, to climb to the top of his law firm, Pierce & Pierce. And it just paints a very, very gritty, but at the same time beautiful picture of just what it's like to look into the mind of someone who's mentally unstable, like Patrick Bateman. Now, as I said, it's based on the novel by Bret Easton Ellis, which was written in 1991. The movie was put out in 2000, and the character Patrick Bateman makes several appearances throughout Ellis's other novels, such as Less Than Zero, Rules of Attraction, The Informers, Lunar Park, and he has become one of the most prolific murderers in cinema history, you know, being on par with Hannibal Lecter and Michael Myers and other great slashers. Patrick Bateman has become quite a influential character in society, as you can tell with, like, the Misfits album American Psycho, and a lot of bands sampled the ending epilogue from the movie in their songs, like Children of Bodom did it for Angels Don't Kill. And what else can I say other than this movie is just great? There's a lot of pop culture references in it that pertain to the 80s, which if you're a younger guy you might not get, but a lot of people do. Another thing about the character is he's obsessed with pop culture of the 80s, because that's when the movie takes place, and he often goes on rants about how certain songs are only seen through the surface, and another thing that kind of lets in on how much of a square he is Huey Lewis in the News' song Hip to Be Square is one of his personal favorites, and as he says himself, it's not just about the pleasures of conformity. You have to look deeper into the lyrics, and it just really shows how not really bland of a character he is, but how he's mostly surface and not much depth. But just the way Ellis and Maren Herron, I think that's her name, that directed the movie, it just shows how well they portrayed this character, and it's very graphic, very violent, but done in a very careful way to where it's not just, you know, garbage. It's very, very artsy. And, let's see. Well, let's just jump into the DVD bonus features. I actually got mine at Hastings for about $8. I got the Killer Collection Edition, uncut. It has commentary by Mary Harron. That's her name, okay. Actor and co-writer Guinevere Turner. American Psycho from Book to Screen, which is a very, very good little documentary. It has interviews with critics of Ellis's original novel, people that, you know, worked on the film, and people, and that's where I found out about all the major stars that were wanting the role, but it was eventually gave to Christian Bale because I just don't think anyone else could fill that better than him. The Pornography of Killing, a video essay by Holly Willis. The Downtown 80s, deleted scenes with optional director commentary, and it's just a fantastic movie. If you haven't seen it, you need to. I would buy it immediately. Another thing you need to keep in mind, though, is if you're a female horror fan, you need to keep an open mind, because this movie is, well, on the surface it seems like it's directed just towards men. Like, this is a man's movie, you know, just because of how the female characters are dealt with. But, you know, if you look more into it, it's really a satire of, like, misogynist, you know, attitude. And Bret Easton Ellis, he writes really graphic, almost pornographic novels, but he describes himself as a moralist. So I'm assuming that most of his novels are written in like a satirical, sorry, I can't talk, I just got out of class, a satirical view of misogyny and psychosis. Let's see. Okay, I'll get to the scores. This video is not going to be as long as I thought it would be. The movie itself, as I mentioned earlier, is going to be my first film to get a perfect 10 out of 10. Just well done, well acted, well written. Just the perfect adaptation of the book. The bonus features on the DVD, I'm going to give a 9. They were, the little featurette, the making up from book to film, was very, it was nice and lengthy. It explained a lot of the background and whatnot. And I'm actually going to rate the book now. I'm not much of a reader, per se, unless it's something that really interests me, such as this book. And I would give the book probably a solid 9.5. I really enjoyed the book. And a lot of people criticize Bret Easton Ellis's novels because they seem to have a lot of surface and detail, but not much depth, but it's there if you look for it. I highly recommend reading his other novels, It's Less Than Zero, Rules of Attraction, which the main protagonist is Patrick Bateman's brother, Sean. And, what more can I say about this wonderful movie? Great soundtrack from the 80s. I've already touched on the beautiful kill scenes. I guess the ambiance of the movie is very haunting, but very humorous at the same time. I guess that's the beauty of satire. This one kind of crosses the line between horror, thriller, and black comedy, but I felt it was worth reviewing because it's one of my personal favorites, and it's just one that you need to check out. If you don't feel like buying it, rent it, or it's not on the instant queue on Netflix, but like I said, I got mine for a very good price. If not, you know, just check it out. It's probably, like I said, it's the first movie I've given a perfect 10, and if you like my review so far, you know I know what I'm talking about. Well, that's it for B-Money's horror review. We're running up on 10 minutes, so I'll see you next time. On the novel, I probably should have put this in the video earlier, but I forgot about it. No other novel that I've read has been hit with a censorship hammer more than this. I mean, it was being flagged, it was being protested before it was even published by the some feminist group, I forget the exact name. It was the ones that don't like porn. they were just hammering down on Ellis, namely because he had gained some notoriety from his earlier novels, with American Psycho being his third. And a little funny bit of trivia is that one of the leaders of one of these feminist groups is actually Christian Bale's stepmom. So that could that could have been one of the reasons why he decided to do the movie. Maybe he had something against her. I don't know. I don't like to draw conclusions like that. I'm here with my roommate Jake, who watched about half of the movie. What did you think of the movie, Jake?
I thought it was great.
Okay, just great. Oh, the camera froze up. Okay, I hope that's not going to mess up the video. Alright, I'm not sure if I'm going to put this at the beginning of the video or not, but I'll see you later. See you on the next episode.